hard work, and dedication only works if you do not exist in a system that has been set up to have problems that you must work against. So, for instance, I know the left or the right doesn't like to hear it, but black people start off in a bad place that is due to years and years of discriminatory legislation, bad practices from police, bad practices from citizens, whatever you want to talk about it, since the Civil War. Let's go to Twitter. Who's Twitter? So there. All right. Let's talk about this person. There are two people that I've been following on Twitter. This one is a conservative congressperson. Let's see. Okay. So I don't remember how I ended up on this person, but this is a conservative congresswoman to be, congresswoman-elect. She is the owner of Shooter's Grill, which I believe, if I am not mistaken, has been a pretty prolific anti-mask institution, one that is protested. I believe she's from Colorado. Yes, Rifle, Colorado. Of course it's Rifle, Colorado. Is that... Wait, hold on. Before I say, of course it's Rifle, Colorado, maybe we should make sure Rifle, Colorado is a real thing and not a meme location. Rifle, Colorado is, in fact, a real place. America. So, our friend here runs this bar, which is cool. I've always wanted to own my own business, especially one that works in food. And okay, this guy, I've seen this TikTok before, and I think it's one of the funniest TikToks in the world. Hold on one second.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. And please.
The First Amendment, you just gotta look it up, Mr. Kummel.
Oh, someone's edited it way more. Okay, so they made it a little unfunny by over-editing the snark into it. Sorry. Also, it's not just the camera wobble. I bounce. Oh, bouncy boy. And I need to like stand and commentate. Like, this can't be... Maybe that's it. I just need to stand. We'll commentate this way. So it's like I'm getting exercise and I'm not sitting like a chubby chub all the time. But at the same time, we're doing political commentary. So we say, hey, that was a dumb video. Am I right? But then I have to come back here because the video was only 22 seconds. Then I have to click and say, okay, let's continue talking about other stuff, right? Anyway, let's look at the cringe at this person's business post first. Beep. Oh, is YouTube working again? They did it! Yay! Ish. Maybe I'll have to clear cache or something, but I just went to YouTube and like everything's blank, trending, blank. Okay, trending has something showing up. My homepage is empty. My profile picture is also empty. So they've done some sort of temporary restoration to service, maybe? I don't know. PB Black. I may or may not be trying that, and I have yet to succeed. Okay. Anyway, back to this. If she's holding a gun, either run or marry her. Okay. Like, I say this as one who hates the liberal side of anti-gun culture. Vehemently despise it. I think it's super cringe. I think it's employed in a very bad faith way. I don't think that it is often outside the realm of ideologue behavior when people argue it, because there are a lot of good arguments for gun control, and I don't think a lot of them get employed by the left. It's a problem, a messaging problem, but I mean, some people just want guns gone, whatever. But this shit, man, as an ardent defender of gun rights, is so fucking cringe. Jesus Christ. Okay. I am a mother of 4 boys. My husband and I are raising them to be strong men. I refuse to send my children into a socialist nation. Their freedom is my motivator. Threaten the liberty of Americans, and I'll be there to hold you accountable. Like, what is she talking about? Let's hear the speech.
In Rifle, Colorado. I am the owner of Shooter's Grill in Rifle, Colorado. I am the mother of 4 boys who I am raising diligently to be strong men, and that will not come from entitlement or safe spaces or government.
Is safe space still a thing? I don't hear the safe space shit anymore. The safe space was like a 2013, 2014 kind of meme, and I feel that it's died off since. So I don't know what safe spaces she's alluding to. But as far as the entitlement stuff, something I had to learn from my time as a conservative is that conservatives will either intentionally or ignorantly interpret the words social investment or investing in this or that. So anytime you hear the word investment from a Democrat, the idea was that you had to assume that that meant socialism or some sort of increased spending, irresponsible spending, whatever. It was never to be taken as a good thing. But investment in the education system, redistribution of the wealth in the education system, investment in healthcare, things that should speak to us as a nation, strong things such as being able to take care of our citizens because we are so wealthy and powerful, somehow get turned into sissy little liberal things when a conservative interprets it. And that's what we have to deal with. So,
Overreach. It's going to come from hard work and dedication and the conservative values.
Hard work and dedication only works if you do not exist in a system that has been set up to have problems that you must work against. So, for instance, I know the left or the right doesn't like to hear it, but black people start off in a bad place that is due to years and years of discriminatory legislation, bad practices from police, bad practices from citizens, whatever you want to talk about it, since the Civil War. And it hasn't stopped. Like, there have been monumental changes up until the Civil Rights movement. And after that, the changes were obviously not so profound as they were in the 60s. But still, the changes slowed down, and yet there were still huge problems. There are still huge problems that exist and that need to be addressed. But conservatives don't like to hear that. They don't like to address it. There are very few conservatives, so I feel okay using this broad brushstroke. There are very few conservatives who acknowledge intersectional systemic issues, especially when it comes to people of certain ethnic backgrounds. But another thing is that, like, poor people as well. So it's easier for a poor white person to go out and do things, but it's still tremendously hard. But the poor white person tends to be conservative, and in doing so aligns with these people and doesn't see that even themselves are being held back by this pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. Hard work doesn't set you free in America. It doesn't.
It's going to come from hard work.
If anything, the belief that hard work will set you free in America is oppressive in itself by your leadership on the right saying that all you have to do is dig deep and get out there and you will get out of that hole. That is oppressive, but it's not as explicitly oppressive, right? It's that, and to make sure that we're being very careful with our language here and not being over hyperbolizing it, it's oppressive in the sense that by people like this new congressman to be, Lauren Boebert, by her and her telling her constituents that it's those who dig deep that are the righteous Americans. Those who dig deep are the ones who are truly living the American dream. And anyone who needs a handout from the government is just sucking up resources and taking money out of your pockets, whatever that narrative is. By you acquiescing to that, when a good number of the people in that party need help from the government, but are now thinking that they can't ask for it because real Americans don't do that. And if this is my lot, I have a roof over my head, I have some food on the table, that's good enough for me. A lot of those people don't have good food on that table. A lot of those people don't have a good roof over their head. They could have better. But because of the divisive talking points, such as pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, they are going to continue to propagate that idea. And in doing so, they oppress themselves and they create a coalition, not a coalition, they create a group of people in that party that now actively works against helping people that need it even more than them because they can't see their own need. And if they were able to, they might change their views.
And dedication and the conservative values that we are instilling in them. I have been advocating for freedom. All of us want to protect people. We don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts. In Aurora, Colorado.
Wait.
In data and I've been advocating for freedom. All of us want to protect people. We don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts.
What a weird edit, first of all.
I have been advocating for freedom. All of us want to protect people. We don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts. In Aurora, Colorado, former presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke came here to double down on his gun confiscation plan, to tell law-abiding citizens.
I almost did the thing that I hate, which is take a jab at her for misspeaking. Not because of the misspeak meme, but because I think it's really fucking stupid when there's serious things to talk about and we're going to take dumb, petty jabs at people's looks or mannerism or something like that.
Candidate Beto O'Rourke came here to double down on his gun confiscation plan, to tell law-abiding citizens that he was going to take away their guns.
Hell
Really?
yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
God, this was so stupid. It was impassioned and emotional because of what had happened in El Paso, Texas. But it was fucking stupid. It was stupid both from a liberal gun control perspective and from a, do you want to piss off all the conservatives perspective? Like, do you want to make a bunch of single-issue voters? Because that's how you make single-issue voters, with dumb fucking comments like this. And I like Beto. This was stupid.
Your AK-47.
I showed up from 3 hours away with my Glock on my hip, and I grabbed that microphone, and I told him, hell no, you're not.
That moment probably got her elected. I don't know when she announced her candidacy, but yeah. So this person isn't operating like this. Weird edit is what really hangs me up. Like, we can talk about the usual conservative talking points of what the bootstrap shit and whatever, but this is a weird edit.
I have been advocating for freedom. All of us want to protect people. We don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts.
I would like to see the full speech and to see what was in between those two edits and then this edit right here.
In Aurora, Colorado.
Like, what do you mean? Like, it sounds like she's saying,
Want to protect people. I have been advocating for freedom. All of us want to protect people. We don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts.
so it sounds like she's saying all people want to protect people, left and right. It sounds like that's a moment of unity in her speaking, right? But then
In Aurora, Colorado.
she says that we differ in data and we don't differ in our hearts. We differ in data and facts. I want to know what facts differ from reality. I mean, we can go to the election and we can talk about those facts. We can talk about all the unsubstantiated claims that were made, attempts to overturn the election. But I don't think those are the facts she's talking about. I'm very curious what facts this individual is saying we differ on. Yeah, YouTube is down. It was a dumb Hail Mary, WDK. It was a silly, silly one. Let's put a little chill music on in the background, shall we? Let's see how this goes. I hit. Is that super low for you guys? It should be. I want this to be background music. Like, am I still abundantly clear over the music? All right, cool. That way we can cut up a little bit of the boring moments in between. Oh, what is this? Is John Pence like Mike Pence's son? Coloradans are winning with President Trump. Grassroots trainings are in full effect across the centennial state to help deliver 4 more years of President Trump's winning agenda. What does this mean? What is this? I don't understand. I don't know what this is. All right. Anyway. Yes, attending the Christmas party. Anyone have any good clips from this weekend in DC? Nothing that can get me banned. I would have been down there, but I was not in the area at the time. I did have a negative COVID test, 2 negative COVID tests before I left, so no, I was not spreading any disease. Two? Holy shit. Wait a second. All right. So, we have lived in a world where Republicans think they can steal the election. One man, Donald Trump, stands alone. I don't know where I was going with that. All right. So, in the world we lived in for the last month and 11 days, I believe, I hope I got that right. In the world we have lived in, I have heard for the majority of that time, the media doesn't determine who the president of the United States is. The courts will sort this out. The courts will sort this out. And thank you, Mrs. Boebert. Thank you so much for proving to us that you guys are feckless, dumb, tunnel-visioned, insincere, small-brained dorks. Because as soon as the courts threw out every one of those dumb fucking lawsuits, and then you guys got to the Supreme Court thinking, this is it. It's Texas going to take down the Biden criminal machine. And then the courts say, you got nothing. And you said, fuck you. It's not the courts who decided, it's Congress. Congress also decided that your president, our president, deserved to be impeached, you schmuck. Holy shit.
Unbelieve the Supreme Court decides who wins presidential elections. That is wrong. While the Supreme Court has a significant judicial role in the presidential election process, the United States Constitution and federal law make Congress, not the Supreme Court, the judge of who wins presidential elections. Congress must first accept or reject state submissions of electoral college votes. Thereafter, if no candidate wins an electoral college vote majority, Congress, not the Supreme Court, votes on and elects the next president and vice president of the United States. The Constitution's 12th Amendment requires states to submit their electoral college votes to Congress, thereby triggering United States Code Title III, Section 15, which requires that, first, Congress shall meet January 6th following the election at 1 p.m. to receive states' electoral college vote submissions. Second,
I have really appreciated the deep dive into our civics from the conservatives over the last month and a half, because you know what? I bet there are a ton of people who didn't know that elections get certified well after. I knew about this from many, many years ago, but I had to have my moment of realization. I think mine just came from an article at some point that said, hey, by the way, election results aren't certified until whenever. And it was just a passing fact. Now, people have had it crammed down their fucking throats that elections do not get certified until weeks after. And then the final certification comes when Congress submits their official votes on behalf of their constituency. But I don't know how many citizens had to actually learn that the media doesn't call the votes, because I don't think any human fucking being has ever thought that the media decides who the president of the United States is. But the fact that we had to go through all that, and then they pivot to the court doesn't decide after relying so heavily on the courts to overturn the election. Huh, 90 Breeze asks, well, at what point do we get the only the president can decide who is the next president? That's probably on the horizon. If Donald Trump doesn't concede, then you can't assume office. Something like that. Unless you want a civil war. Tim Pool. Civil war. Yes, make me right, please. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. 2,403 deaths in Pearl Harbor. September 11th, 2001, America's darkest day. 2,977 deaths from the Twin Towers. December 9th, 2020, just another Wednesday, 3,124 deaths. I saw our favorite non-American yet still heavily conservative Ian Miles Chong mocking the 9/11 analogy, because it's a really good analogy, because it's a fucking amazing analogy, and because he's annoyed that he has no, and I'm not even going to scroll through his thread, because his Twitter, because it's full of shit I probably don't want to see on stream. But Ian is such a disingenuous butthead. He's mocking the analogy of all these deaths are preventable. Something I keep, every time I see someone talk about church, I say, hey, I understand that religion is important, but if the day after 9/11, the world told you, hey, if you go to church this Sunday, 2 weeks after, a 9/11 is likely to happen. So the country needs to stay home and not go to church. no one would have gone. In post 9/11 unity, there would have been no question, no hesitation. If we go here, because we know the coronavirus is going to spread. We know that if people go to church, those churches get packed. It doesn't matter if you wear your masks or not. There are going to be people that still get cases, people that still go around and spread it. Masks are preventative. They aren't 100%, right? We wear the masks because people still need to go out into society and exist. We stay home every other time except for when we have to be outside so that we limit the spread of coronavirus, right? So we know this is going to happen. So it's not even, someone can't even like lean back and say, oh, well, that'll never happen. Fuck it. But let's just say it's a hypothetical, right? We know that 9/11 would happen, just like we know that coronavirus is going to spread more if we go out and have these big gatherings. So to circle it back, you say, I understand that religion is important, but if the day after 9/11 you were told you can't go to church this Sunday, otherwise that's going to happen again and again and again and again, no one would have gone to fucking church. They would have found a way, and it wouldn't have been this fucking issue. But I continuously see this. So Ian is now shitting on it. A lot of Republicans are going to turn on it and say this is a really dumb analogy. It doesn't count. But at the end of the day, that's exactly what's happening. These numbers have gone to absurdity. I don't know how, in this climate with so many people dying, I don't know how a conservative looks at the numbers and says, oh, they're obviously being fudged, because that's what we were hearing during the early days, like up through late summer, we were hearing that. The numbers are being fudged. It's overinflating. It's not that bad. I just don't understand how people aren't grasping the intertwining ways this is all working together. Too many people get COVID. They have to go to, they're not able to work maybe. They have to go to the hospital. Hospitals get filled up. That's people with COVID are obviously taking priority over a lot of other people. People have to be, at a certain point, hospitals have to decide who they're going to treat because all the hospitals in an area are full. Can't evacuate people to certain, there's only so far you can evacuate certain people. Or redirect certain people. The hospitals get full. In California, you look at the map and you see California is low, but California has done a great job of holding back the pandemic. It's also a place that doesn't get as cold, so that we're not seeing a lot of the spikes from the cold that we are now. But at the same time, their hospitals are getting to that point, and that's why California has had to set these new standards. So you're going to see, sorry, went a little tangent there. You see people shitting. You see people shitting on the idea that they have to change their behavior and that, it's just going to happen. I saw this couple was kicked off because their 2-year-old wouldn't wear the mask. The kid wouldn't wear the mask. So they kicked him off the plane. And on one hand, I very much empathize with them. That really sucks. You can't control the kid. You have to go where you are. They sent the fucking people's bags, like overseas or some shit, like New York or somewhere. They sent it far away from them, including like the stroller and all their stuff. They just kicked him off the plane, fucked off. Apparently they're also banned from American. Haven't looked further into the story. But in watching the video, the guy posted, because he posted a video talking about what happened, and then he says, I'm going to post a video of it actually happening. And when he posts the video, and I see it, he's fine, he's frustrated, he tells the guy, I'm not mad at you, but then he starts going into it's a 99% survival rate. And that's the part that it's like, it's not about the survival rate. It's about you spread it, right? Let's say that kid does have it, and that kid does spread it, The masks are more effective at preventing the spread than they are at preventing you from catching it, right? So let's assume this kid takes that flight, and then let's assume only three people get infected. 3 people that are relatively close by, those people get infected, right? And we'll say, for the benefit of the doubt, that 2 of them are asymptomatic, right? 1 of them gets sick. That person survives, whatever. The issue isn't them surviving. The issue is how long each of those people is able to spread that disease to other people and then other people. And if each of those people only infect 2 people, that's still more and more and more. And that's more people getting exposed to it. That's more people catching it, right? And so by all of us wearing the masks, we stem that spread. So it's like I empathize with them, but at the same time, it's either their misfortune and their lack of comfort in the situation and their great inconvenience. I don't know what they were flying for, but at the end of the day, it's whatever their life experience is right there versus that of potentially thousands of other people. That's what this all comes down to. It's not just about us and our inconvenience. It's that for your fucking desire to go have a meal out in a confined space and you're not regularly abiding by these laws, you're putting other people at risk, and we need to be considerate of that. I get it. We're fucking tired. There is huge fatigue from being prepared and on guard for this pandemic. People are tired of forgetting their masks. People are tired. Well, you shouldn't be forgetting one. You should have one. You should have multiple by now, and you should have them readily available so that you're not forgetting your fucking mask, so that you're not having a breakdown in the fucking entrance of Walmart. But at the end of the day, I get it. Yeah, I went to the gym this morning. I thought, you know what? I'm going to get up so fucking early. I got up at 4:30. I kind of piddled around a little bit, but I eventually went to the gym. And when I got to the gym, I was 15 minutes late from it opening, and there were about 6 people in the weightlifting area, and 2 of them with their fucking masks off. One wearing it as a chin diaper, the other wearing no mask, not even like having it there to put it up. And she was walking between the squat rack here and then a curling station right here and just making her own little cloud of funk. And I don't know if she fucking has it. What I do know is that she's a selfish piece of shit. And so is the other fucking dude. You do not, I don't care how intensely you squat. I know professional fucking powerlifters that are lifting at the peak of physical human performance. I'm talking top fucking 25 in the world powerlifters that do it in a fucking mask if they are in a public gym. If they can fucking do it, you can too. Your fucking daily lift for your own personal physical fitness goals is not more intense than theirs. So if you're going to be in a public space, do the right thing and wear it. Fuck the businesses that don't enforce that, and fuck the people that don't abide by the rule. I'm not even okay with the fact that the cardio section is allowed to huff and puff and run without a fucking mask. I wear a mask because it's fucking cold out. Like I have a baklava or whatever, balaclava that I wear when I ride my bike because it's fucking cold and I'm a little bitch and I need warmth. If I can wear that for my hour-long bike ride with my heart rate about 145 to 165 the entire time, you can fucking sit there and lift in a mask. Period. End of story. What I mean, Mr. I think you're making a joke, but just to iterate what I mean by that is, Mr. Fosita, is that if I can do it, if the top people who are exerting the most tremendous amount of effort, right? They're digging deep each fucking round and they're putting in way more than any of us mortals are putting into it. Then Joe fucking Schmo can sit in a squat rack and do his, 2 sets of 10 and then fuck off and keep his mask on the entire time. You're beautiful too, corny moot. Baklava does sound good. Oh my God. Oh, it's made with pistachios, right? Oh, fuck, that's so good. Like the most annoying thing about me wearing my mask is that I'm wearing these KN95s, which are like the Chinese certified N95s. And that it, like, when I breathe heavy, it goes, like, because it's suction, it just smacks my nose. It doesn't hurt, doesn't feel weird. It's just like maybe this small little mental hurdle of like, oh yeah, I know I can still breathe just fine. I know air's coming in the sides. It just feels counterintuitive to allow something to like keep smacking you against the face if you're trying to breathe. Other than that, I do just fine. I sit there. I'm real. The last time I went to the fucking gym, not today, I went one other time. This dude was on the bench right next to me, so I'm already uncomfortable, and I'm soaking my thing, and they give you this anti-whatever spray, and the guy looks up at me and says, "You missed a spot," and that really fucking pissed me off. And so I finished wiping my thing, and then I'm going to get weights, and he just breezes by me, mask off. And I was so fucking angry. Like, you're not supposed to be walking around without a mask, first of all. Second of all, you made that smart-ass comment, and then you explicitly walked right up against me. Like, he didn't pause politely as I went to grab the weights and move. He just barreled past me and rubbed up against me. I fucking hate people right now. And, like, not in, like, the, haha, I hate people. Aren't I quirky? I hate that, too. But no, I genuinely am learning that some people are just either so ignorant or so selfish. Fuck, I didn't mean this to turn into Lycan's bitch fest about his gym woes, but it kind of ties into this kind of dumb school of thought. And I don't even know I don't remember how we got here. It's so fucking stupid. I'm tired. I'm tired of COVID, not because of the countermeasures, because I'm perfectly fine sitting in my house, going out to eat when I know that I can do it in a safe condition and living a relatively normal life, all things considered. I'm okay. And I understand that it's harder for some people than others. I do. I also understand that I am in a very fortunate spot where I can continue to work and have my career. I get that as well, which is kind of funny because instead of looking at certain people in like the Senate, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, that are preventing us from actually making the lives of people better. Rather than looking at them and saying, you're fucking up, Republicans are looking at the government and saying, how dare you shut things down? Well, no, if we shut things down and we took care of the people we had to shut things down for, there would be no issue. But your boy Donald Trump has made this a political issue instead of an American issue. And because of that, we do not have concerted leadership. We don't have a unified message. And we don't have unified respect for the situation, let alone unified comprehension of the situation. Because Mr. Trump, President of the United States, introduced so much division and uncertainty that we are left with this bullshit quagmire we should have never had to have dealt with. We could have been locked down. We want to praise him for locking down China real quick? Sure, that's fine. Great. I'm not even going to fight back on the part where people said Joe Biden was xenophobic, which isn't true. Not how that actually played out. But whatever. We'll say Donald Trump did the right thing there. And then he did fuck all for an entire month. And then when he did do stuff, all he did was create division and uncertainty. And in doing so, he allowed us to get where we are right now. So yeah, you know what? Donald Trump didn't go grab a vial of that virus and then chuck it into a crowd full of people and say, ha ha, die. But yeah, you know what Donald Trump did? Donald Trump set the stage for us to be in the crisis we're in now. I don't really understand how there's any room for an interpretation beyond that. Like, yeah, Taco B is talking about the most shocking part of all this is the conservative structure of, quote, state and, quote, local rights over federal rights. And you can see just how the illusion shatters the moment their dogma is attacked in any way. Then you realize it was just their rights that were important to them and what they want. It's amazingly selfish. It is. And the idea of, well, Trump let the states handle it. No, Trump didn't let the states handle it. Trump sent out this message of confusion and then left it to the states to handle. There is a big difference in saying, devise a plan. Here's what we know. Here's how serious it is. You as states are responsible for the people in your state. Devise a plan. We will oversee. That is leadership. That is setting the message. Hey, this virus is serious. It's way more contagious than anything we have had to deal with. It is going to overload our hospitals if we do not contain it now. There's going to be difficulty. I am now directing members of Congress from both parties to come up with a comprehensive stimulus package that gets us through all phases of this virus until we have a cure. And I want states to be prepared for a lockdown within 1 week, 2 weeks, something like that. Obviously, every day fucking changes shit, right? So give some advisement to people. Don't go out if you don't need to. Don't overbuy so we don't have the crisis that we ended up having. Don't do this and that. We want to maintain supply chains. We're going to do it. States get to work. If you guys don't take care of it, though, the federal government will have to step in and then say, be ready for mini lockdowns after that. Don't just think it's going to be a one and done thing. Like, this information was there. This knowledge of how to proceed could have been available to the greater public, could have been available to these state leaders. Instead, Trump comes out and says, it's not that bad. It's going to go away. He says dumb fucking things, and he doesn't let his advisors work for him. He doesn't let his people that are more intelligent on these subjects, that are meant for these subjects, he doesn't let them run the show. And anyone that disagrees, anyone that sets the stage for him to be wrong or to not have the political ammunition he wants from this, those people get the fuck out. Bye. Done. I think the only reason he didn't fire Fauci is either because he knew that that motherfucker is the best that he could fucking hope for, or actually, I don't know why he didn't fire Fauci, because he all but cut the man out of any direct public impact on this issue when it comes to the White House, to the point that it seems as if Fauci is operating autonomously within the government away from the White House. As someone who lived in Maryland, our governor literally had to secretly import masks from Korea, carry it to delivery locations in secret because the federal government was seizing masks in other states. Wait, really? Hold on, I haven't heard that. Yeah, and I live in Maryland. I didn't hear any of that. Huh. Now, I don't know what this source is, so apologies. I'm just Googling this. It's from April. Miami-Dade's emergency director said a shipment of masks meant for first responders and other frontline workers was hijacked on its way to the county. Miami-Dade County, Florida, Miami-Dade's emergency arm was close to taking possession of 1 million N95 masks last week, but the shipment was taken by federal government. WLRN reports Frank Rollison, Miami-Dade's emergency director, described the shipment as hijacked by federal authorities during a desperate dash to secure medical-grade masks needed to protect first responders and frontline workers from the spread of COVID-19. We were going to meet the plane and actually take them. That's like gold, you know? But we got the word from the company that they had been taken from the federal government. Frank Rollison, the director, blah, blah, blah. I say it was hijacked because that's what happened. Rollison said the press office for Miami-Dade Emergency Management were not immediately available for comment. In a statement Thursday morning, a FEMA spokesperson did not address the Miami-Dade shipment. The agency is not intervening with legitimate suppliers, but the statement said Washington was stepping in to seize material from distributors it deems are acting against the law. FEMA is not seizing or taking personal protective equipment from state or local governments, hospitals, or entities who are lawfully engaged in transactions through which these resources are distributed, the spokesperson said. However, there are bad actors out there who are hoarding and price gouging. The Department of Justice has assembled a task force that has seized PPE from individual bad actors and businesses hoarding PPE. We remember that dude, those two dudes that had like a storage unit full of like sanitizer and stuff. That fine, but that's not what this sounds like. The hunt for N95 masks has been a top challenge for Miami-Dade as it races to buy enough supplies to fight COVID-19, the disease caused by coronavirus. The county's transit union is suing to try and force Miami-Dade to provide bus drivers the same kind of N95 masks issued to county police and firefighters. Had a press conference last week, Mayor blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, no, it looks like that legitimately happened. Here's from ABC News. Here we go. Maryland hiding testing kits purchased from South Korea from U.S. government. Maryland authorities were so concerned about the federal government seizing shipment of COVID-19 tests destined for the state that they made special arrangements to receive and guard the tests until they could be distributed, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan said Thursday. Hogan cited a fate of 3 million N95 masks purchased by the state of Massachusetts, all of which were confiscated in March by the federal government at the Port of New York, as the main reason for taking extra precaution to secure the state's order of 500,000 COVID-19 testing kits from South Korea. That was so important to us that we wanted to make sure the plane took off from Korea safely, landed here in America safely, and that we guarded that cargo from whoever might interfere with us getting that to our folks that need it. Okay, yeah. Crazy shit. Now, I'm not against the government taking things into their own hands and confiscating material that needs to be confiscated. I mean, if there's some, I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but let's say that there was some product, right? And that for the sake of national security, which obviously this is a huge fucking issue, and we're talking about things that happened earlier, within like the first 2 to 5 months of the pandemic. If these were things that needed to be confiscated by the government for the sake of all, I would understand. But these were masks going to state governments to be distributed to frontline workers in those states. That is a problem. And also, we're talking about 2 very important states, or 3 actually: Massachusetts, Maryland, and Florida. Florida has a huge population. Maryland has a pretty good population. Not too sure about Massachusetts, but big metropolitan areas: Baltimore, DC, Boston, and Miami. Those people need masks. But if those states are, like you're saying, Fazita, if they were doing an organized response, this was pretty fucked up. Pretty fucked up. Excuse me. Anyway, let's find something else to talk about other than the masks. YouTube is down though, so I can't. Is it still down? Oh, it's looking like it's up for me. Oh, you know what? I had a thought on the toilet this morning. Why is it? Oh, we can go back to the Christmas music. Why is it that when conservatives bring up that there was a doctor disagreeing with the mainstream consensus, and that, hey, you should be listening to them, just because they're not the mainstream consensus doesn't mean they're not bringing something valid to the table. While that could be true, isn't it a little weird that no top professionals in the field of epidemiology or any similar science, no scientist in the top of their field, to my knowledge, is coming out and speaking against the consensus advice when it comes to COVID? I think that's an important thing to consider. It's these little fringe ones, or these relatively unheard of scientists and doctors that are coming out. Oh, let's find that Dan Crenshaw cringe. I haven't actually watched the whole thing because it hurts me. I don't know if I can. I should be following this dude. Oh, what a schmuck. What a fucking schmuck. This guy. Okay. Oh, God. I'm gonna cringe out of my fucking skin. Okay. So, let's watch this. Nope. If I'm gonna cringe, you're gonna cringe. I saw that tweet. I don't fully understand it just from skimming it, so we'll have to. Oh, you linked a different one of them. I saw someone linking the response. We'll go over that in a second, WDK. Okay. First of all, this video is driving the left mad. Share it, support, blah, blah, blah. I am not mad because I'm a liberal. I'm mad because I'm a veteran, and this is super cringe. There's a certain type of post-service veteran. Like, I try to be very careful. I try to not insinuate that I was involved in combat because I wasn't. I did do some super cool things. I did some super neat stuff that had me working with people like Naval Special Warfare and whatnot. But I was never one of them, right? So I'm very careful with that. But there's a certain type of operator as fuck, is what we call it in the military. And it's usually just like some sort of mocking thing for people that try to be Joe Cool military dude. Crenshaw was a Navy SEAL, right? You can still be genuinely operator and still be cringe as fuck. So let's skip that whole shit and just dive right in.
The American story is one of true acceptance.
Oh, it's gotta pop out one. Cool. All right, go 1 second. We'll pop that out.
The American story is one of true exceptionalism. It's built on the greatest ideas in history. This victory tonight, it's about you. It's about defining those. Sorry, folks. I'll be right back.
What do we got? Well, it's not over in Georgia. Senate races went to a runoff. What are we up against? You'll never believe this.
Far-left activists are attempting to gain full and total control of the U.S. government.
That we secure a Democratic Senate majority so that we don't have to negotiate in that way.
Should these Senate seats be lost, all will be lost.
You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all.
Your mission will be to rally support across Georgia behind these American patriots, Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler. They must win.
What's our situation on the ground? We have two patriots down there, Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue. Great fighters with a great message. They just need a little backup. Last question. Who do you want to bring?
Bring everyone.
No!
What's the situation at the LZ?
Good evening, sir. Rather lovely form, if I may say so. But we do have a small problem at the landing zone. So-called anti-fascists, an ironic term given their propensity to, well, act like fascists, are patrolling the area. Recommend we shift north 3 kilometers. How does that sound?
Negative. I want to say hello to the greeting party. What's the bearing?
Always one for a bit of drama. 90 degrees from your current heading. Be well, sir.
Man, where is this guy?
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be dark soon.
Where is that pirate?
Arr.
Arr, arr, pirate, arr.
I don't even know why I'm so angry, you know? Oh, the news told us to be.
Ah! Problem is, this is gonna work. It's gonna turn people out. Ah, God. Oh. Okay. Okay, first of all.
Far-left activists are attempting to gain full and
Let's talk about far left, right? It's not far left just because it's avidly against what you believe. Like you can be relatively center left. You can be center left and still vehemently oppose a good majority of conservative policies. And it's weird to say policies because they operate on so much misinformation, but a lot of conservative ideas, modern conservative ideas. You can be center left. I realize I'm pointing to my right, but you can be center left and still be way against this shit over here. Fuck.
total control of the U.S. government.
That we secure a Democratic Senate majority so that we
have to. But these will new to Georgia. They will.
Fighters with a great message. They just need
this.
What's our situation on the ground?
We have two patriots down there, Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue. Great fighters with a great message.
Great fighters with a great message. Oh, like, why you gotta call them fighters? They're not fighters, first of all. Second of all, they have a horrible fucking message. Third of all,
they just need a little backup.
Whenever we find it, they're like, how do you call these people patriots? Part of me is not totally against what Loeffler did. Hot take. I don't think my issue with what Loeffler did is that on the back of knowing the economy was going to tank and selling off a bunch of stocks, she did nothing. If she sold that shit but came out with her hair on fire and said, motherfuckers, shit's going to get real, we need to fucking unite and we need to fight this issue, but she also sold that, you know what? I wouldn't give a fuck. I would give zero fucks. If she broke with Donald Trump and she sold all that stuff, she made all that money, even though she has a gross amount of money already, I wouldn't have given a shit because I don't care about people making more and more and more and more money. There isn't a fucking threshold where I start to hate someone for making money. But when you do that, and then you hardline say that there is no fucking issue, and you sit lockstep with Donald Trump, then, and only then, do you catch my ire? My meaningless ire, my 80 viewer ire, but you catch it. You catch it then. This fuckery, this is stupid. And the idea that Loeffler and what that other motherfucker, God, get me the clip, pretty please, of him getting bamboozled on stage by John Ossoff. Is it John Ossoff? By Ossoff. I'll say Ossoff. But then this.
What's the situation at the LZ?
Good evening, sir. Rather lovely form, if I may say so. But we do have small problem at the landing zone. So-called anti-fascist.
This. Like, Antifa are not training like fucking terrorists. And that's what this looks like. This looks like a produced version of some terrorist training camp video, right? But it's fucking stupid. It's dumb. I don't know how to reach conservatives that think that Antifa is the problem and the Proud Boys aren't. Because they keep getting sold by their politicians, like a lot of the crazier Republicans anyway, that Proud Boys are out there as a response to Antifa. And it may very well be, and likely is, that the more Antifa gets talked about and shown in the news and whatever, the more people go join the Proud Boys plus whatever radicalization circuit you want to talk about, right? Fine. Whatever. But at the end of the day, the government isn't tracking Antifa as an organization, not because they're not an organization, but because they're not a violent group of people that are out there feeding into far more radical and violent groups and that aren't actively attempting to coordinate attacks and hate towards people. You know who is? You guessed it, the Proud Boys. But when you have people being disingenuous that don't want to believe it, whatever, like, we'll take family member of Jared's for a second, right? Jared has a family member that thinks that got real excited, not this last DC event, but the one last month, got real excited watching the Antifa folks get the shit beat out of them. Why? Because they saw clips of old people and women with kids nearby getting beaten up by Antifa folks. Now, I haven't seen those clips. I saw some clips that definitely looked bad, but almost every clip I saw had some greater context, like the older guy that got socked in the back of the head. Now, I will explicitly outright denounce that action. I don't give a fuck what he did leading up to it. When someone's walking away, you don't clock him in the back of the skull. If the threat is leaving, stop. Otherwise, you're just there to enact your own retributive violence. Is retributive a word? Sorry to break the flow, but I don't know, because yes, you were just trying to get retribution for what has angered you. You're not actually defending anyone. You're not protecting people. You are now engaging in violence for your own sake. So it bothers me when that happens, because then it gives these fucknuts ammo. But what's really upsetting to me is that Dan Crenshaw is a patriot, and Dan Crenshaw does love his country, and Dan Crenshaw has honorably served his country. And yet he is going to attack the group of people less likely to undermine the fabric of our American values. Just because you say you love Donald Trump, just because you carry an American flag, doesn't make your message or your actions suddenly justified, suddenly patriotic. If anything, and I say this as someone who despises a lot of shit associated with Antifa, I will say that a lot of these fucking idiots are LARPers and dumbasses and don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they have no idea, right? And in many ways, just by participating with Antifa, I do believe that they are stoking flames. However, I don't care about any of that as much as I care about the group, the Proud Boys, what the Proud Boys have become, what the Proud Boys are becoming, and what the Proud Boys do to these situations, and the fact that they are feeders into far more radical militia groups. That is what I care about. That is what Dan Crenshaw should care about. But Dan Crenshaw doesn't, because Dan Crenshaw is more concerned with being a lot of the shit that people bitch about AOC being, which is a media seeker, someone who's out there to make a show more than make an impact. That's what they accuse AOC of being. And here's Dan Crenshaw being the same, right? He's an ideologue. He is not operating on any basis of reality. In fact, I believe he has supported Donald Trump's attempt to overthrow the fair democratic election. And so here he is now denouncing a group that is far more patriotic in the way they act than the fucking Proud Boys. A lot of them fucking hate America, right? Like, let's be real. A lot of these Antifa folks, they don't like America. They don't like our system of government, or they don't like a lot of what America has stood for, and that goes beyond valid criticism, in my opinion. A lot of them are the irrational, psychotic lefty that we like to rail against. However, in their actions, far more patriotic than a lot of the fucking Proud Boys. Just because you carry the flag, say you love the president, doesn't make you a fucking patriot. Oh, you can... I don't want to go down this path. Yes, you can be anti-capitalist and pro-American. Absolutely. I still think there are people that just hate America, or not think. No, there are people in this organization that just outright hate America. And you know what? I will say this. Messaging is important. And if it's not easy to determine if you just hate capitalism or just hate America, maybe you need to get a little better at messaging. Anyway, that's Dan Crenshaw. Yes, Dan Crenshaw. Sorry, that was bad, but worth it joke. All right. So anyway, what is this Ben Shapiro thread? By the way, I want to take this time while I have you all here. I'm going to link my YouTube, since YouTube seems to be kind of back up for everyone. If you could pretty please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and not only subscribe, but put on a video in the background sometime today, maybe a couple times a day. It would be tremendously helpful to me. I would very much appreciate it. In fact, giving me a view is far more important than subscribing, because I need hours watched in order to monetize and then share that money with my production folks. You're absolutely right, Kostrone, which is why I think that Antifa should adopt an actual structure. So here's the thing. Antifa is an organization. We can have that argument a lot, but I will stand by it. It is an organization. It's called a leaderless resistance. I'm going to make sure I have that correct. Leaderless. I think resistance is the right word. Yes, leaderless resistance. It's used by organizations that don't want to have an easy structure to target, right? When you have a hierarchical structure, you make it very easy for your opposition to figure out where to direct their focus to as effectively take you down. So if you were running something that is supposed to be this underground anti-fascist movement, yes, you want to operate like Antifa, which is no leader, no sub-leaders, no cells, whatever. But Antifa does have cells. It does have little chapters operating around. I don't think they call themselves chapters, but yes, they have groups that do organize. And overall, they are aligned under a message and a strategy, right? It is an organization. But that said, it is hard to have clear messaging. And I think that if Antifa actually wants to be effective and wants to turn the tide against the Proud Boys, I think Antifa needs to organize. I think Antifa... Now, it's one of the difficult things about me as a communicator is I have ideas pop into my head and I feel like I need to address them because I think they're salient and important to the conversation. So something that just popped in my mind is that if that were to happen, there would probably be a splintering of people that are like, we don't want to organize, or we don't want to organize under you if you're the one that's taking us to a more unified structure or whatever. I could see it splintering, and then you still have the people that just want to go out and just be violent. Because here's the reality. I've been to these things now. I've seen Antifa people and I didn't see Proud Boys that time, but MAGA people just getting fucking fights all the time because there are people that are there just to fight on both sides. And it's very unfortunate because you know what? The right doesn't care about listening to both. The right cares about what is fed to them. And what gets fed to them are the images of and videos of Proud Boy or of Antifa being violent and the Proud Boys counteracting it. And it's very frustrating. Anyway, to go back, I could see Antifa splitting if that were to happen. But at the end of the day, I think some sort of unified messaging and unified behavior, like, fuck it, man. If Antifa stopped being there to be antagonistic, which they are at times, there are people in there, that are antagonistic. If those antagonists are policed by their own, I know we don't like the word policing in the Antifa community, but if you police your own and you say, hey, stop fighting with that person, we're not here to do that. We're here to stand by and defend if we need to. If that actually fucking happened, the tide would turn, and it would be a lot harder. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but it would be a lot harder for conservative media, conservative pundits, and these important politicians to be able to spin the narrative that Antifa is there being complete fucking assholes. Like, and you get groups like Unicorn Riot, IWW, Hope Not Hate, etc. They don't brand themselves as Antifa, but that's effectively what they do and how they organize. I don't know anything about those, but I have no problem with the getting out there. What I do have a problem with is the lack of leadership and the lack of stopping people from behaving in a way that hurts the cause. And the cause for the Antifa folks is to stop people like organizations like the Proud Boys being as effective as they are. To my knowledge, I just researched this like the last time we had a stream, so I don't know exactly what it is, but there is no number associated with the Proud Boys, to my knowledge. Like, membership numbers aren't tracked, right? I don't know if there are even estimates of how many people are in the Proud Boys. But what I do know, I hate ticketing systems that flood your email, by the way. I really do. Anyway, what I do know is that I've lost my train of thought. Fuck. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, Proud Boy numbers. So what I do know is that the Proud Boys are tracked as a hate group and a feeder group, and one that has white nationalist ties and we're not ties, but there are aspects of it, despite the fact that they have an Afro-Latino leader. I am so tired of people pulling that out. There can't be a white supremacist group. Look, the leader. Hi, let me show you to Jesse Lee Peterson. A feeder group would be an organization that pushes people out to other far more radicalized groups. So let's say you join the Proud Boys and there's a little bit of, white nationalist sentiment flowing through there. It's not super explicit, but it's definitely harbored and tolerated and maybe even fed into in some less explicit ways, right? And then it's kind of like going from Fox News to OAN or Fox News to Newsmax, right? You get a big heaping pile of bullshit, right? And at some point, you've consumed so much of that bullshit that that's not enough. You need more bullshit. So then you go to Newsmax or then you go to OAN or both. Same thing with this. So you end up going from saying you're just there to fight Antifa because you genuinely believe that they're just there to be violent. So you're walking around, but then you start getting these white nationalist ideas and these revolutionary ideas and whatever from hanging out with the Proud Boys. And suddenly they're like, yeah, you know what? Those militia groups, they're a little more hardline on this stuff. I don't think the Proud Boys are enough. I'm going to go to one of them. And suddenly you become I don't know the names of all of them, like a Boogaloo Boy or what's that there's that one that someone commented on my shit and said, I'm a member of this. You should, any law that restricts the Second Amendment in any way is oppressive, whatever. Three percenter. Thank you, WDK. That's it. Yeah. So that's what a feeder group is basically. I mean, in many ways, I don't think any of these groups have done any significant acts. There was an attempted kidnapping of the governor. I think that was from one of those militia groups. Anyway, before I have to go, I have a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and look at this Ben Shapiro thing. Only people with PhDs in hard sciences and medical doctors should be called doctor. Oh my God, is that what this is about? Listen, I don't give a fuck. I think the issue with this, if we were going to point Republicans out for being fucking stupid, because I've seen people on the left also saying, like, I mean, it does feel like it's been pushed a lot. There's no point to bring it up. The only reason we're having a discussion is because there are conservatives who are tired of hearing that the first lady is a doctor. Like, the first lady to be is a doctor. Only people with PhDs in hard sciences and medical doctors should be called doctor. This has been my consistent position for over a decade, as the execrable Michael J. Knowles can attest. Who's Michael J. Knowles? Why, is Ben Shapiro a doctor? Oh, look at he's got pronoun jokes. Doctor. Oh, he is a Juris Doctor. I speak as a Juris Doctor. No lawyer should be called doctor. It's idiotic. In law school, one of the students had a doctorate in liberal art. When the professor addressed the student but forgot the honorific, another student piped up and said, "You should say doctor." The professor quickly replied, "If I have a heart attack right now, can you do anything about it?" The student demurred. The professor replied, "Then I'm not calling you doctor." This is basically my perspective on this asinine issue. If you're at a dinner and somebody introduces himself as Dr. Smith, you'd be rather upset to learn that he had a doctorate in musicology if you were to suffer a stroke at the table. Furthermore, to compare a doctorate in education, blah, 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 to a medical degree is the height of absurdity. Having watched my wife do the latter, it simply isn't comparable. I mean, I don't think that's an invalid opinion. Like, I'm not going to get pissy if someone asks me to call them doctor. And yeah, I might be like, it's a little pretentious of you to ask me to call you doctor if you are just a doctor. Like, I think culturally, doctor does have a pretty specific meaning. And usually someone says, oh, he's a doctor. No one is reaching to wonder are they a doctor in? Unless they're a fucking idiot and they're like, wait, did he pass med school being that fucking stupid? So, like, I don't think that's an unreasonable stance. So what is the issue? Well, I would say, so those I consider medical fields. Like Dr. Jordan Peterson's a doctor in psychology or psychiatry. And if an OBGYN, I imagine that you have gone to like some form of medical school that you can do something at that point. for as far as the OBGYN. As far as like Jordan Peterson, no. I would say that part of it is stupid. Like I would say anyone in a medical field, which I would view as both mental health, physical health, I'd say, yeah, doctor is a very appropriate term. Everyone beyond that, outside of an academic setting, I would say, who gives a fuck? Sorry, I'm getting tingles in my nose. Yeah, I think that maybe his heart attack differentiator, like that anecdote, I think is kind of stupid, because I would say most psychiatrists probably aren't medically trained in the physical medical sciences. I don't believe they are at all. Actually, I think you get your psychology degree and then you become a licensed psychiatrist or something like that, right? I don't think you ever do a proper medical whatever. Like you're not learning the bones of the fingers as a psychiatrist. Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is I don't like the heart attack example, because I would expect to call a doctor in psychology, doc. I see no issue with that whatsoever. You know what? Actually, I would say that in his example, and something else I would agree with, just now that I'm thinking about it, with your comment, WDK, the hard sciences is weird, but like I could, I could see it being relatively socially acceptable to call a biochemist doctor, like someone with a PhD in some sort of biochemistry or whatever, like science. I could be like, oh yeah, doctor, this is Dr. Blah, the blah 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 institute. Like, oh yeah, okay, that works. Like Doctor isn't Diane Fossey? Is she's the one that's still alive, right? Or is that the dead one? Or is she the one that was murdered? Yeah, no, she was the one that was murdered. Was she a doctor? Yes, she got a PhD from Cambridge. So if someone said Dr. Fossey, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna retract a little bit and say I think that in the sciences, as far as like because I technically, what, music can be considered a science, maybe, I don't know. I would think that more the hard science that he's talking about. I think I see what he's saying. Well, let's figure this out. We have this internet machine. Do psychiatrists go to med school? They do not complete medical school. Within psychology, students can pursue a PhD or a psych degree. In contrast, psychiatrists complete medical school after their wait, hold on. Goddamn Google summaries. Sorry, let me share this with you. What's the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist? Does Jordan Peterson hold a medical degree? Okay, I don't think he does. He has a doctor of philosophy, actually. But I also call all my therapists doc too, if I'm going to be extremely honest. Yeah, that's always been like my understanding, but I didn't know if you had to still go to medical school to be able to prescribe those, like a full-on medical school. Undergraduate students who are interested in a career in mental health have a number of different options. Two of the most common fields are psychology and psychiatry. But what's the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist? One of the main differences lies in the educational requirements. Psychologists go from their undergraduate studies to graduate school and continue on to a doctoral level training. They do not complete medical school. Within psychology, students can pursue a PhD or a PSYD. A PSYD or PsyD, I don't know how you say that, has a stronger focus on clinical training, whereas a PhD puts more emphasis on research. All PhD programs and some PsyD programs require that students complete a dissertation for either part, blah, blah, blah. In contrast, psychiatrists complete medical school after their undergraduate studies. After 4 years of medical school, psychiatrists move on to a 4-year residency in general adult psychiatry. Toward the end of the residency, psychiatrists can choose to specialize further in areas such as child psych. Okay, cool. So psychiatrists, I knew that the difference was prescriptions and no prescriptions, but I didn't know that you actually still had to go to medical school. Cool. Very interesting. I thought, and maybe this is a Canadian difference, but I thought Jordan Peterson was a psychiatrist. Is Jordan Peterson a psychiatrist? No, he's a psychologist. Okay. Cool. So today I learned. Anyway, so I still consider psychology a medical science. Yeah, you don't go to med school, but it's still a mental health practitioner. So if he gets a PhD, now his is in philosophy. So how do I feel about this? Like I said, I don't really differentiate between psychologists and psychiatrists when I think of them as doctors. I think it still falls under my framework, which is that doctor implies some sort of medical or scientific study. Anthropology. If I'm going to say Diane, Fossey is a doctor, and she is, I don't know if she's an anthropologist as well. No, I don't want your fucking biography, Diane. Primatologist. What was her PhD in? Oh, she also has a doctor of philosophy. Cool. So yeah, no, I mean, hers is, or maybe that's why we were saying that. So yeah, hers is apparently in philosophy too. Hold on. Education and medical career. Sorry, I'm just reading about what she did for education. Here. Fossey attended Lowell High School, blah, blah. All of Fossey had all, blah, blah, blah. She transferred to San Jose State College and became a member of the blah, blah, blah. Initially, following her college major, Fossey began occupational therapy. Okay, so she gets a bachelor's, goes to do occupational therapy. Interns. Oh, she was a horse girl. So wait, what was her fucking PhD from? Wait, when did she attend Cambridge? What did she study at Cambridge? Because it says philosophy here, but it also, like... Okay, anyway. I agree with you, Sublime. Sublime says, this whole discussion just seems like academic gatekeeping and purity testing. I think so too. I think it's a dumb argument. Like, even if I agree with the baseline of Ben Shapiro's arguing, which is that that he only calls these people doctor, and he thinks it's like pretentious or stupid for people to expect themselves to be called doctor if they have degrees in these fields or, you know, PhDs. Like, technically, I believe that doctor is a correct term. There are certain people who, if they ask themselves to be called doctor, I would say it's a little fucking shitty. Shut up, in my mind, of course, because I'm not rude. I can agree with that and still think this is dumb and unnecessary public conversation to have. Yeah, so I would say it's pretentious, but it's fine. And making a big stink of it is more of an issue than the pretension. There we go. I have finally figured out exactly how I feel. I think that I agree that it's pretentious. I agree that there's a certain type of doctor that ought to be called doctor regularly. I don't think there's anything wrong with signing doctor or having it on your stationery or whatever. But I think this conversation from the right in the nitpickers is way more of an issue than the pretension. Cool. Glad we could figure that out, class. I didn't read the op-ed. So is that what this is all about? Is this about that Washington or Wall Street Journal op-ed? Okay, yeah, I didn't read that. I saw people bitching about that. I saw someone from the Wall Street Journal bitching about that, saying there's a big fat wall between these two, and I'm still ashamed. Like, there's a big fat wall between news and opinion at the Wall Street Journal, and I'm still upset that this was actually done. Yeah. Good golly almighty. My name is Larkin. Please subscribe to my channel, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. I need your subs and I need your support so I can grow my shit bigger. Please, oh please, I don't need donations, just need your follows and adorations. Please, 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 like, subscribe, and follow.